I'm Mr. MegaManFan, this is Genesis Does, and that is Wolfchild. Now, I already filmed the footage, so I'm going ahead with this episode, but I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I thought this was only on Sega platforms. I knew it was on the Mega Drive/Genesis. I knew it also came out for Game Gear, Sega CD, and even the Sega Master System. Yes, they crushed it down to an 8-bit level and made it on a Sega Master System console game. But, to my dismay, I found out later after filming that this was also released on Super Nintendo. I missed it because I didn't see it on the list of Genesis games that appeared on Wii U or Wii Virtual Console. So I thought this was a 100% exclusive. But once I dug in a little deeper after filming, I found out why. It turns out this originally started out as an Amiga game. Yes, good old Commodore Amiga. And apparently it also had a release on Atari ST. So this started out as a PC game and then got ported to the Sega and then got ported to Super Nintendo. So let me see if I can find the release order here. No, only that it was released in 1992. Not even the date, just 1992. Anyway, as you saw from the beginning of this video, I only have the loose cartridge, no box or manual. That's been a running theme of late in Genesis Does, but again, I must deeply apologize for breaking my own rule about console exclusivity. I sincerely thought this was only a Sega Genesis/Mega Drive game. As you can see, it is a beat-em-up side-scrolling type of game. Reminds me a little of Double Dragon. And I suppose we're on an airship here, so that's why the enemies are just flying away when you punch them. They're just being knocked into the air and then sucked away into the atmosphere. They're moving at high speeds through the air, so apparently I can run left or right without getting sucked off the plane even when I jump, but one punch and I send them packing, so go figure. If you collect enough power-ups, you turn into the titular Wolfchild that the game describes. You see me howl there as I get hit by lightning and transform, but other than giving me like a shooting bite attack, instead of punching now I just shoot flames out of my mouth. It doesn't change how I perform. I don't get an extra high jump. I don't get to move any faster left to right. In fact, it's just still a pain in the ass to make this one jump. There's like a delay to your movement. Instead of fluidly jumping like you run to the edge of something and you leap off and fly through the air like you would in a Mario game to traverse a big chasm, you can hit the button when you get to the edge, and then you just fall down. It doesn't feel like the game lets you generate any momentum whatsoever. And the bosses, like this mid-stage boss here, are really cheap too, because you can't figure out how to get to the point where they're vulnerable due to your shoddy ability to platform your way through. And then I got the final boss right here, only 2 seconds later. And I've got one powered up attack, which I just did, which just completely wipes out the enemy. Even though there wasn't a way to tell how many hits it had left, it seemed to take none whatsoever once I did that. So what was the point of a mid-stage boss and an end boss that close together, and also an end boss that was that easy to hit? The platforming only gets worse from here. Before I delve into that further, I'm going to read a little from the wiki entry, since I don't have the manual and can't tell you much about it besides that. The plot revolves around biotechnology researcher Callum Morrow and his son Saul. When the former is kidnapped by the evil Chimera organization, Saul uses one of his father's inventions to turn himself into a wolf-human hybrid, similar to a werewolf, that may be capable of defeating Chimera. The designer was Simon Phipps, who was also responsible for the game Switchblade 2, and according to this description, The player must guide Saul through 5 levels, negotiating platforms and shooting various monsters. Now we get back to what I wanted to talk about, negotiating those platforms. For example, you're supposed to leap on this thing and it carries you up to a higher platform, but then you get cheap knockback hits and you have to do it all over again. This is extremely frustrating, and I'm sure this is intentional because they want this game to be challenging to the player, but it's not like an arcade game where you're going to feed more quarters into it. So at the same time, it's like, okay, you want to make it a challenge for the player who spent a lot of money on this cartridge, but you're also making it a challenge for people who own the game and just want to enjoy it, and you're not getting any more profit out of it. You've already made your profit by getting the person who bought the cartridge to give up their money at a store to buy a physical edition. So you're not pumping more quarters out of it. Could you have at least made it so that there wasn't cheap knockbacks? I mean, okay, in a Mega Man game, I sort of understand that because you're a robot and maybe you're just not designed to withstand a full-on energy blast right in the face, and it's going to knock you back a little bit because you weren't originally a weapon of war in Mega Man. You were a creation of peace who was mechanized to fight back when the evil Dr. Wily stole Dr. Light's robots. I digress. I'm Mr. Mega Man fan. That's what I do. But you're this Wolfchild, right? You're this son of a researcher who used this technology to make himself into a wolf-human hybrid. So when he gets hit, wouldn't it just damage him where he stood? Wouldn't he take bruises and bleed, just like he was in a fight? Why does he need the knockback like a Mega Man game? It's irritating. And so are these spikes that come out of the ground. So I have to wait to time this jump off this platform so I leap over the spike that comes up out of the ground under the platform, because if I hit the spike that goes up and down and up and down, it gives me knockback damage too. If you want to have knockback damage from an enemy, that's one thing, but if you want to have knockback damage from environmental hazards, that's a completely different kettle of fish. So it's another thing that's going to come up here in my playthrough that just absolutely drives me bonkers. It's that I couldn't figure out how to jump down. Now, you saw me jump up through these platforms and land on them, which makes perfect sense for a video game, right? You jump up through a platform, you land on it, and then you progress upward. But there doesn't seem to be a way to do the opposite. You can fall down. I did that successfully, but you can't jump down. I realize that may not be clear enough because I'm jumping and I can run and jump and I'll go flying downward by gravity. But what I'm referring to is something in a previous generation's game like, say, Contra, where if you're holding down and jump, you jump straight down to the platform underneath you. You can traverse in both directions. You can go up and you can go down. So why, on a 16-bit platform game, can't I jump down through these pipes? I can jump up through them, which suggests that I can traverse through platforms, but yet I can't traverse the opposite way. For whatever reason, it limits me to only jumping up through them. So I'm trying to jump up through this one, and I can't reach it. And eventually, I've just got to figure out some other way to do it, because that don't do it. So what do it? This is Genesis doesn't do. It's Nintendo does and Genesis doesn't. How do I get through this area? I can get a running jump and jump over that, but I could also go through the tree stump and get to the other side. And I can't jump down. I can only jump up, and I can't reach this one above me, and I can't reach that one to the right because I slide down when I try to run to it. And I can't jump down through here, and I'm just going in circles now, literally. And see, once I get over here, I'm stuck again because I can't jump down through this. I can't fall down through this. This is mind-numbingly frustrating. I want to scream profanities here, but I'm not the angry video game nerd. So maybe he'll review Wolfchild and say everything that I haven't already said. But as of this video, as of my recording, he's doing PlayStation 4 games. So he's not even doing retro games anymore. He's doing brand new crappy video games, which I suppose is fine. You're going to be angry at something on any console in any generation, so it might as well be something crappy like Life of Black Tiger, because that game is an absolute pile of garbage. But big shout out to him for putting Gilbert Gottfried in the video. That is a hilarious move on his part. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So, Wolfchild. I wanted to enjoy this game more, but I just can't figure out how to make any progress in it. And eventually, it just makes me want to jump on spikes and commit wolficide. Or what would that be? Not, it's a wolf-human hybrid. Would that be homicide? Or lupinicide? Like a lupine wolf? I don't know, but I guess one of the few redeeming things is finding these power-ups and collecting them, but other than that, here I am again riding the platforms. One falls to its doom and the other takes me back up to right where I was before. And this is the point where I'm like, oh God, what am I doing here? Why does this game exist? Why do I have a loose cartridge of it? Why do I take knockback damage every time I try to hit an enemy? Even when I try to duck under their fire, they duck down and fire at me. This is relentlessly hard in a completely unnecessary way, and I've had enough. I'm committing suicide there. Game over, man. From Mr. MegaManFan. This is Genesis Does. I don't recommend Wolfchild, but thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.